I want to talk about my minimalist winter travel kit. This is what I traveled with when I drove from Florida all the way up to northern Illinois a couple weeks ago on the day that polar vortex crap came. Wasn't as bad in Illinois as, say, like New York or whatnot, but it still was pretty rough with the snow and particularly the cold. And this is not a preparedness advice video. If I was doing that, I'd put it on the other channel. This is more of a blog post, how I do things. And how I do things isn't for everybody. I'll be quite frank with you. I do things very differently than a lot of different people. I travel very minimally, especially these days. Opposite of what I used to do when I used to take too much kit, I now maybe arguably don't take enough. But I had to go all the way up there to extract my family and bring them back down. So it was more of a deployment for me than it was like a holiday vacation type of a thing. And I'm a little bit weird in how I do things these days. I basically spent the whole week in 2 sets of clothes, which is probably going to sound gross to some people, but it's just how I do things. I spent like 3 or 4 days in 1 set of clothes, and then I changed and spent the second half of my drive trip up there in another set of clothes, which again would sound gross to some people, but I wasn't doing PT, I wasn't exercising, I wasn't sweating, it was cold, and quite frankly, I didn't eat very much, which sounds strange to some people because it was the holidays. Most people eat, they consume a lot of food. I do not, and I did not. And this is because of efficiency. One, I find when I travel out of my element and eat a bunch of food, I have a bunch of stomach problems. And I did not want to experience that, so I just didn't eat very much. I probably had 1 meal a day and didn't eat very much for that meal, which is very challenging in the holidays because every relative wants to, shove 10 pounds of food down your throat because we are in abundance for now. And hopefully it stays that way, but it might not. And, we've been preparing for it to be not. So, but another thing about not eating very much is you don't go to the bathroom very much. So, without doing all the things that typical humans do to make them smell bad and have to change clothes, by minimizing that, you don't have to change clothes very much. Again, not for everybody. You do you. This is how I do things. I'm driving the entire way from Florida to Illinois, only stopping when I absolutely have to get gas. I mean, I carry food and I carry water. And I don't mean 1 granola bar and 1 bottle of water. I mean multiple gallons of water, multiple forms of food. And I've been known to pee in a bottle. I'm all about efficiency and not wasting time. You might have noticed it's a theme on this channel. But again, this is more of a blog post, so I'm just telling you how I do things. So now that we got the philosophy out of the way and how I choose to do things, kind of the more difficult, or let's just say less comfortable way, now we'll get into the gear. Very basic, minimal fire-making stuff besides my EDC, which consists of my pistol, a lighter, a knife, and a light. I have this little kit that I put together. It consists of storm-proof matches, it's a whole bunch of strike anywhere matches, which can also act as a means of tinder, and then a whole bunch of fat wood shavings. So carry, tinder, dry sticks, make sure I can get something going. And then we, of course, have a ferrocerium rod in my everyday carry bag, which was in the car. Wool blanket. I switched to wool. This thing, it was practically my cape. I slept in it every night. I had it draped over me every day. If I was sitting there on the couch, I had it draped over me the whole time. Wool. Wonderful way of staying warm. And this went with me on my trip. Wool scarf. Homemade. Wife made this for me, I think back when she was still my girlfriend. So I've had that maybe 10 years. Then we took the Ontario 499 as a debut because I'm into leather and wool and things that are known to last. So this is my new kit knife, so we took it with. Paracord. Yes, it's not organized. It's not all wrapped up. Why? Because I've been using it a lot. And it tends to just get bunched up afterwards, so I got to get that organized. Handkerchief, because why not? I always have one. Let's talk about the philosophy of traveling over multiple states. This went with me. You can make some inferences from the fact that this went with me. This is the T-Rex Arms Active Shooter Kit, but I find it's a great way, minimalist way of carrying a couple extra magazines, just the right amount, both pistol, and you know what? Full complement medical kit here. Tourniquets, Israeli bandages, gauze, all the stuff, right? So, very minimalist, apart from my day bag, and again, my EDC items. That's how I roll. Not for everyone, and not advice for you. It's just for some of you that might be interested to know that not everybody does things the same. Not everybody travels and eats as much as food as possible. But I do what I choose to do, and you do you. Just remember to make good decisions. Don't waste time.